Good mythical morning booktube nation. Welcome to my bookshelf. I am Caroline. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm 21 and I live in Miami, Florida. And today I have my 1D mug with me because we are doing a coffee book tag. Now, the reaction I had when I first heard coffee book tag, I was like books about coffee, but nay. Today, I'm gonna be doing this tag by Bangity Bangs. I found this tag when I was looking up just like some February tags, something like where I can talk about my February reading plans, which I could just do independently, but I'm new to booktube. I wanted to see what was out there. But instead, I stumbled across a list of different like booktube tags people have done in the past, and I really liked the idea of this one. And as a coffee lover, I thought I would take part. Before we get into it, grab your coffee, your tea, your chai, your anything you like, and sip along with me, why don't you? Today I'm drinking just some cafe bustelo with oat milk. I usually use Chobani, but today I'm using Oatly because there's been a nationwide Chobani shortage, with some Domino sugar. It's classic love. So all of the different questions are a different type of coffee. You feel? Hey guys, it's me from the future, and I know I don't really have to say anything. I have like 2 subscribers, but I was feeling a little under the weather during this video. I was kind of dealing with a fever, so if I kind of don't make sense, blame it on that. So it wasn't COVID, but yeah, if I seemed a little out of it, that's why. Sorry for my weird ramblings and my feverish head. So to start, the first one is black coffee. Name a book or series that is tough to get into at first but has a dedicated fan base. So this might be kind of divisive, but it's not that it's really hard to get into, but it's just that I, as someone who doesn't read fantasy that frequently, had some trouble staying in it. Like, I'm on the 2nd book and it's just hard for me because I'm not a series person typically, so getting through a series is a little bit challenging for me, but I really enjoyed it. With all that being said, that series is the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin. I'm on the Obelisk Gate, which is the 2nd in the series. I was actually doing a reading vlog for the 5th season, and then I was going to continue it with this, and I filmed it and everything, but I'm currently taking a break from this because I just need some contempt fiction and then I'll come back to it. But I really do like it. I feel like Jemisin writes in a way that is so accessible and intriguing, and the world building is really fascinating because it's a book about the world ending, and so you're getting kind of the whole picture of the lore of this world and this crazy land in which it's always changing. It kind of paints like a portrait of a world that is used to falling apart, and seeing the different oppressive systems that are built in that world because of people being different and how the people with the special powers are outcast. It's just a very interesting story. There are queer characters, there are trans characters. It's a great commentary on a lot of different social themes, and I love it. I just think I needed a little bit of a break because I was like binge reading really quickly and I don't really have that much time to read for fun right now. So it's been a little bit of a moment for me. But the fan base is super dedicated, and I love it. I'm currently borrowing them from the library, but if I finish them in the near future, I do want to buy a little box set moment because they're so cute. I love the way the book feels in my hands, and yeah, I really care for all the characters, and can't say enough good things about it. I just will be inching my way through this series, unfortunately. This next question is Peppermint Mocha. Name a book that gets more popular during a festive time of year. I'm having trouble with this one because obviously I could just go ahead and say The Shining, but like really, come on, be more creative. Instead, I'm gonna predict something because a lot of the mystery horror books that I have on my shelf are newer, but I'm just gonna go ahead and manifest that this book, My Heart is a Chainsaw, gets popular every Halloween, because this is an amazing take on slashers, on the psyche of a teenage girl who is dealing with trauma. And I loved this book. I am now a Stephen Graham Jones fanatic. I just recently read Night of the Mannequins as well in one sitting. It was so interesting and dark and twisted. This book was more like psychological in a different way, but I would love to see this book maintain a certain degree of popularity, especially during the Halloween times, because it's fun and it's festive, but it's also like not about Halloween quite. It's more like a summer book actually. But if we're talking festivity and spookiness and slashers, I want to see this one get popular during that season. The third one is Hot Chocolate. What is your favorite children's book? Now, I haven't read a middle grade book, a children's book, in a long time, but this is kind of easy for me. Once I thought about it, I was like, I know the one. Definitely The Tale of Emily Winsnap and that series. Like, first of all, I was a mermaid back in childhood. Like, I thoroughly believed that I was in fact a mer creature. Shout out my friend Emily. We were mermaids together. The H2O influenza was real. Shout out Ricky from H2O, one of my first crushes. Did I want her? Did I want to be her? Did I want both? Probably. And yeah, I just absolutely love like the lore of mermaid books. I literally, even this summer, I needed a mermaid book. Like, I searched far and wide for a mermaid book to read. I ended up with Things in Jars by Jess Kidd, which wasn't quite a mermaid book, but it had that kind of oceany feel. Anyway, Tale of Emily Winsnap, such a fun book, such a fun little read about a girlie who discovers she's a mermaid while living on a houseboat. It's just everything you could want. It's giving aquamarine, it's giving lore, it's giving just that ocean feel. Like, I get this visceral feeling when I read books about the water, and I love it. So yeah, definitely The Tale of Emily Winsnap. This next one is Double Shot of Espresso. Name a book that kept you on the edge of your seat from the beginning to the end. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Pretty Girls by Karen Slaughter. My friend Jamila let me borrow this book. I have yet to give it back to her. It's safe here, don't worry. But this book got me into reading more viciously. Like, this book got me into reading more viciously. Like, I was working on getting back into reading earlier this year, and this book was sitting on my shelf for such a long time because Jamila gave it to me and I never finished it or read it. And I picked it up and I could not put it down. I was telling everybody about it. I was thinking about it nonstop. As I was finishing it, I was on like the last 50 pages on my way to work, driving my car, and I was reading it at the stoplights. So yeah, it is really interesting because Karen Slaughter is kind of like Jamila described it as, like one of those airport authors where you see like her mass market paperbacks just sitting there and you're like, okay, James Patterson, pack it up. But I really liked it. I will give you a huge content warning and trigger warning because this book deals with a lot of themes about SA and just really, really gory themes, really disturbing, evil characters, really dark and twisted. That being said, it definitely kept me on the edge of my seat. I couldn't put it down. If you have any questions about the content and you're interested in reading but you're a little nervous, shoot me a comment, shoot me an email or anything like that. I'll give you a clear warning about the things. But great book. Obviously, like, yeah, not the most like literary thing, but that's kind of the point. So this next one is Starbucks Coffee. Name a book you see everywhere. I don't really own that many like BookTok type-esque books because, I don't know, not really into like a straight romance type feel, and I feel like that's what a lot of the books revolve around. No shade, love what you love. But I would say a book that I do own that I see everywhere, maybe it's kind of out of the limelight now, but I did read this book, My Year of Rest and Relaxation by Atessa Moshfegh. And I have a lot of opinions on this book. Do I have the mental energy to go into it? I don't know. I think Moshfegh's writing is really good. I think that she was written in, like, the character was written in a tongue-in-cheek type of way, like not being glorified, not being romanticized. However, I think that this book has the potential for the readers and the fans and the consumers to take it in a way that it's being romanticized, or take it in a way where they want to be the main character, when I don't believe that's the point at all. I don't think that was Moshfegh's intention. I don't have the mental energy to go over this right now, but I thought it was interesting. I liked it. I didn't love, like, the main character, obviously, and yeah, it's just everywhere, and I'm done talking about it right now. If you guys want a full review, I can, like, collect my thoughts and not just say in every single video I mention this book, we're not going to talk about it, but that's that right now. This next question is, that hipster coffee shop give a book by a lesser known author, or a book that you haven't seen in many places? Okay, this book I am going to bring up because I haven't seen anyone ever talk about it, and I got the ARC for it and it's on my TBR, but this is Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian, and it's kind of about a student with antisocial personality disorder who ends up, I guess, trying to kill one of her male classmates. So tea. So yeah, I guess that one. Another author I want to mention is Luis Alejandro Ordóñez. He is actually a local Miami author, a very sweet person, and if you read books in Spanish, he has plenty of Spanish publications out there. And then also if you read books in English, he has an English translation of one of his books, The Last New York Times, available to purchase online. So I'll leave the link to his books down below if you're interested. Really cool dude. I have two for this next one, which is, oops, I accidentally got decaf. Name a book that you were expecting more from. So the ones that I chose, easy picks. Both of these. Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw, and Velvet Was the Night by Silvia Moreno-Garcia. I really wanted to like both of these. I actually DNF'd this one. Honestly, I didn't give it enough of a try, but I do continue. I do plan on continuing it and finishing it eventually, but maybe I wasn't in the right headspace. Maybe I don't really want to listen to a cop narrate. So I don't know. I know I made the mistake of reading this thinking it was going to be similar to Mexican Gothic, and it wasn't. Obviously, all the reviews I read said that it was different than Mexican Gothic, but I was still wanting something kind of like Mexican Gothic from her, with the same voice, very different voice. I still like it. Like, I like her writing, but I also was not drawn in right away because of probably the cop narrator. So I'd like to try to finish it one day because I'm sure I would like it if I did it, but I was expecting it to draw me in faster. The second book I have for this, as I said, Nothing But Blackened Teeth by Cassandra Khaw. This one, I just think it needed more time to develop. It's something about horror novellas that are either very hit or miss. Like, as I said, the Stephen Graham Jones Night of the Mannequins, it was about the same length, but it packed, like, okay, it was slightly longer, but it packed so much more depth into it while still being a novella. This one, however, I was just confused about the horror elements. I don't know. I just think that the characters were a little underdeveloped. The lore of the characters could have been done better. And I think that we didn't explore a lot of the things that were introduced, like the main character's mental health, like the relationships between the characters. And I just think that even the horror itself was somewhat vague, somewhat difficult to grasp what the author was trying to convey. I don't know. I think it had a lot of potential. Maybe I have to reread it. Maybe I wasn't reading it with the attention it deserved, but I thought I was. And I really wanted to like it. But alas, wasn't really my favorite after all. This last question is the perfect blend. Name a book that is both bitter and sweet, but ultimately satisfying. Not really sure 100% what that means, but I'm just gonna go with something that kind of challenged me in terms of reading style, in terms of genre, but ultimately I really enjoyed. And I just mentioned it earlier in this book, but Things in Jars by Jess Kidd. This book was one that quenched my thirst for like kind of oceanic water lore, folklore books toward the end of this past summer, and I really liked it. The girly Jess Kidd is an Irish author from the same county that my family is kind of from. She was very inspired by the writing style and the likes of Charles Dickens. So it kind of took me a little bit, as far as I know, she was inspired by the style of Charles Dickens. But so it took me a little bit to kind of really get into some of the intros of the chapters, because the way that she wrote was very whimsical, very classic, very kind of timely in terms of like writing similar, like kind of just like end of the 1800s, turn of the 1800s, like, I don't know, style. This book is pretty much about a girly who is a detective named Birdie. Her name is actually Bridie, as in Bridget, but every time I read it, it was a struggle to read it as Bridie, because why wouldn't it just be Birdie? And she is called to solve this mystery of this missing child, and it goes through her timeline, her experience being an orphan, her experience dealing with these like collectors who collect oddities and rare things, and there's just a bunch of folklore and also a really cool plot in terms of not being like fully like male-centered. I thought that was a cool element. It was giving fantasy while also giving mystery, while also there was a touch of romance in there, which I thought was a little weird, but I also thought it was kind of sweet, if I don't say it. And it was just well done, and I would love to see another installment with the same character, because she was a badass, flame-haired, pipe-smoking girly, and this whole book made me want to smoke from a pipe. I am sober now, but it was inspiring. I definitely did a bit of a herbal pipe smoke while reading this book. But yeah, I just generally liked it. It quenched my thirst for that aquatic type of thing, and it was cute. So that is the end of this tag. Thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed your coffee. Let me know what your coffee order is down below. Also, let me know if you've read any of these books, if you're interested now in reading any of these books. And thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye. To me, my melancholy babe.